It's a quick note from the author. While this LLB mostly tries to be humorous, I think it's important to remember that 50 million people died as a result of this conflict. Even though World War II is one of the few conflicts with clearly defined bad guys, it's important to know that some Allied soldiers did indeed commit crimes. This LLB depicts an example of one such war crime. Viewer discretion is also advised, so yeah.
This isn't my first time in Europe. That was 8 years ago, give or take, August 1936. Saturday, more like it was yesterday, Meemaw and Gami had invited everyone over for the Olympics in Berlin. Mom and Dad couldn't afford the trip, so Meemaw footed the bill. I've got no idea what kind of cushy job she had back there, since she bought us round-trip flights. The flight took 2 weeks though, so we missed about a week's worth of events. I got to see the Olympic Stadium, and Meemaw taught me and Roderick basic German. It was a fun time, but something happened there that's vital to my plan. We stayed at Meemaw's house each night there. I know for a fact that it wasn't in a city, but I don't remember specifically what town she lives in. Maybe I've got to jog my memory a bit more. September 1944, Tuesday. We landed in Belgium today. The weather here is ridiculously similar to how it is in Plainview. So for a second, me and Rowley actually thought we were back home. We're finally home! I know I said that me and him are getting sent to the Netherlands, but it turns out that the base is next to the Dutch-Belgian border. Speaking about that, the whole place is a mess. Apparently Belgium was liberated from the Nazis less than a week before we got here. And it shows. The whole place smells like ash. And I found a severed hand in my sleeping bag. What the flip? Since Chirag was part of the Indian army and Tyson is dead, we've got a new sergeant private. First up we have Private Christopher Brownfield. The guy seems nice, but I'm more worried about why the military decided a walking bullet sponge like him was fit for duty. Anyways, the sergeant's name is Jordan Jury. From what I've heard, the guy's a freaking legend. According to Albert Sandy last week, he dodged enemy fire by swinging off a tree branch. God bless America. If that's true, then we really hit the jackpot with this guy. He's practically a one-man army. We're probably going to get sent out into enemy territory. He just did a title drop there. Any day now. So I should go to bed. Monday, I knew it. Sergeant Jury told me and Rowley that we were all heading to some Dutch town in the evening. He seemed oddly happy about it, so I guess he has some kind of bloodlust. I then spent the rest of the day hoarding as many D rations as I could. I don't care what anyone says. Those things are the best. I have no idea how long we'll be out there, so I might as well prepare for the worst. Tuesday, we arrived at the town today. The place's name is Louisstad. The people there didn't seem to really want us around, which is weird since we liberated this place. Des Americans, Jean, Wajan, Jigodom, Omer, Vuon, Testellan, Ja. I have zero clue what they said, but I tried my best to pronounce that. Right after we got to the town square, the Sarge took off in the jeep with all of our supplies. Hey, me and the rest of the unit managed to track him down to a house in the outskirts of town. We thought he would send us out to the Nazis, but what we caught him doing was way more unexpected. Valentine's chocolate bonjour. That mother flipper was trying to impress a girl with the rations he stole from my stash. He's no Sarge, he's a flipping fraud. I decided to sit down and process what I just saw, but I immediately realized we should have watched our backs. Nazi! The little wimp had a pistol on him, so we all bolted to the jeep. The guy fad, of course, but he missed most of his shots at me and Rowley. Christopher, on the other hand.
Sonic, you gotta help me, man!
Like I said, the guy's a walking bullet magnet. We got back to the jeep, but Christopher was bleeding so much that he was a goner. I sicked Rowley on the nutsy and tried to comfort Christopher in his final moments. Don't worry, man. You're gonna get back to America and see your family again, right? I'm actually Canadian. I appreciate the effort, though. Christopher died right after that, and me and Rowley spent the rest of the day trying to process what just happened. I'd like to say this incident made us learn to pay more attention to our surroundings, but it didn't. When I woke up, I was in the back of a Nazi truck along with Rowley. Everything was pitch black, so all I could really do was listen to what the Nazis were saying. Man, that was a piece of cake. They even had Coca-Cola on them. That drink was my favorite when I was a kid. Too bad it's not an Aryan drink. I translated what they said. Obviously, all of a sudden, I heard a loud bang, and the whole truck was torn apart. The Nazi drivers were killed instantly, but since the blast came from their side, me and Rowley were relatively unharmed and able to escape. Man, Greg, that was way too close. We could have died. Rowley, that's why I made that bomb in the first place. You might be thinking, what a cop-out. There's no way you're that lucky, Greg. But it's all true. I planned everything from the start. Let me explain. Remember Tyson, the pea gunpowder guy that died way back in Burma? Turns out he was an orphan, so all his stuff at camp got divided up between me and Rowley. I ended up getting Tyson's personal notebook, which had nothing but recipes to make explosives out of random stuff. There were hundreds of recipes in there, but the most important one right now is How to Make TNT Out of Fat and Stomach Acid by Tyson Sanders. Fast forward to right after Christopher died, me and Rowley both knew there was a bunch of Nazis trying to sneak up on us, thanks to that Bush guy, so we went and made an explosive trap. We didn't have any bombs with us, so we used Tyson's recipe to improvise. It called for fat stomach acid and distilled wood ashes. We got the last one by burning down what was left of Jordan's girlfriend's house. We mixed the ashes with water and distilled it, just like the recipe said. We also needed fat and stomach acid. How did Rowley get those two from Christopher's corpse? Hey, Rowley, you don't look that great. Are you okay? So much acid. Now that we had all of the ingredients, all we had to do was mix them together per Tyson's notes. It worked something like this. Chris's fat, wet ash equals soap. And then soap and salt equals glycerin. You then mix the glycerin with some stomach acid to get the explosive part of dynamite. We then put the explosives in some Coke bowls that were in Christopher's bag so the bombs wouldn't be super suspicious. Obviously, we weren't careful enough and Nazis got the drop on us anyway. To be honest, it's a bit weird that they didn't kill us right there and then. Maybe they were gonna torture info out of us or something. But luckily for us, the one normal Coke can they stole from us burst from the truck's heat, triggering a chain reaction. Now that my plan went off without a hitch, we were free to walk to the nearest town and rest for a while. When we found one, our initial plan was to regroup and find a way back to camp. But the first thing we found there made it clear that wouldn't be possible. Bill Foreman in Belberstadt were in D Germany, you know, the one that started the war. We'd be eviscerated if we made it to the border, and that's only if they aren't taking their time. That plan I made earlier about staying at Meemaw's house was the only viable plan either of us had, and after relaying it to Rowley, he agreed. If I jog my memories hard enough, I might be able to remember where she lives. It's been a long day though, so me and Rowley hid inside a bunch of hay at a nearby barn and called it a day. Wednesday, compared to yesterday, today was fairly normal, aside from being miles deep into America's biggest enemy. We did have a rough start though. Get out of my barn, you creepy kids! Rowley almost asked the woman to repeat herself in English, but I quickly put a stop to that. Could you yow? If that idiot runs his mouth again, we could both get killed. To stop that, I made up fake identities for me and Rowley. Sorry ma'am, my name is Greg Gore, and me and my mute friend Roland were just taking a nap. Oh, okay. Rowley's name was a bit too British to use as is, so I just called him by the first German name I thought of that started with an R. The lady lapped it up and let us leave her place. We could probably hide out anywhere in town, but our guises probably wouldn't hold up against some actual German troops. We don't know the area either, so our best bet is finding a map or something. Right now we're kind of at a dead end, but maybe there's something that I'm forgetting about the last time I was in Germany, so I'll try to retrace the steps. August 1936. So the Olympics were fun and all, but my family needed somewhere to stay at night. That's why Meemaw let us stay at her house about 2 hours away. She definitely didn't live in Berlin though. The house was in. Damn it, I completely forgot. Wait, I might remember something if I recall what mom and dad were talking about that day. Now that I think about it, dad didn't seem too pleased about staying there. He and mom were arguing all throughout dinner. Why the hell should we stay at the sorry excuse for a town that is sorry and not, I don't know, a hotel? I'm sorry, would you like to stay in a dump with your Nazi-loving suck-up brother? Based off what dad said back then, it's safe to say that sorry is where Meemaw lives. It's nice that I know the name, but I still don't know where it is. Wait a minute, there's no way the Nazis are just patrolling all of Europe without some kind of map. Maybe those guys I blew up yesterday had one on them before they died. Friday, they didn't. But we still got one anyway. Let me explain. Yesterday we were planning on heading all the way back to the truck, but a unit of Nazis showed up in town, towing what was left of the truck with them. Actually, calling it a unit is a gross exaggeration. It was just 2 guys, but they looked pretty high ranking. Even then, one of the guys had some real thick glasses, so we could tell that he had awful aim. If we went and ambushed those guys, who would win? Well, that bearded guy is holding a rifle. That could cause us a little trouble. But would we lose? Nah, we'd win. So he went up to them and surprise, surprise, they never saw us coming. Surprisingly, a lot of battles in war end that way. Luckily for us, they had a map and a compass. All we had to do after that was leave town and head for Surrey. But even that had some issues. American! I was already in a bad mood at that point, and that youth brat trying to rat us out obviously didn't help. At that point, I had enough. I loaded up a rifle I stole from the Nazis, aimed at the brat, and did what was necessary. The bullet got deflected by one of the kids' swastika badges. They were still stunned by the shot. I instantly took the advantage of that. Greg, what the hell are you doing? Relax, Rowley. If you don't want me to kill this Nazi, we can just force her to make us lunch. And so, I held her at gunpoint while she took us to our house. I coerced her into making us hot dogs. Not enough mustard. In hindsight, that was a bit too much. Good thing Rowley brought me to my senses. Knock it off. What in God's name has gone into you, Greg? You started to become just as bad as the Nazis. That's when I told him why I was so peed off. Since I've left the whole reason out until now, I'll just write it now. One of the Nazis me and Rowley killed earlier turned out to be a relative of mine. His name was Uncle Lorenz. I don't know why he was a high-ranking Nazi soldier, but he was one of my favourite relatives. Only found out it was him after we got to drop on him. So I guess the shock or whatever really got to me. Rowley wasn't exactly sympathetic though. Jarshi says that just because you accidentally murdered a relative in the heat of battle doesn't mean that you can needlessly kill civilians in cold blood. I have no idea who the heck Jarshi is, but Rowley did have a point. So I unloaded the gun, ate that bland excuse for a hot dog, and left the town with Rowley. But not before stealing all of that kid's food. October, Sunday. It's been an eventful past few days, but we finally made it to Surrey. I practically memorized the street Meemaw lived in, so getting to her house was a piece of cake. When we went inside, we found Meemaw looking at some pictures on the wall. Hey Meemaw, it's me, Greg. The guy behind me is my mute friend Rowley. Could we crash here until the war ends? Sure thing, Gregor. By the way, I have the perfect thing for your mute friend. Meemaw then reached into her pocket and turned towards Rowley. What was that thing? Well... Meemaw shot Rowley. Why so surprised? He was an utter mensch. So he had it coming. I never saw it coming. Meemaw is a Nazi? But don't worry, my perfect little Aryan boy. I want to kill you too. In fact, I'll even put some strings and make you official SS. What do you say? If I accept Meemaw's offer, I'd probably be able to do whatever I wanted. But she also shot and maybe killed Rowley. What did I say then? Heck no. I should have known. You've become a filthy Jew. You like your brothers. You guys can come in now. I guess she was signaling some Nazi soldiers because they came into the house and dragged me into their truck. Should we take him out back and put him down, ma'am? No, taking him for processing like any other filthy Jew. They then threw me into the back, where I've been ever since. It's over. I'm headed to who knows where. Rowley's probably bled out by now, and no one outside of Germany probably even knows we survived Lewisstead. All I can really do is try to figure out what changed about Meemaw. August 1936, Monday. Meemaw, these are my kids, Roderick, Gregory, and Emmanuel. Emmanuel, have you been getting baby names from a Jew? She was always like that. It just never registered me until it was too late. Wherever they're taking me, it's most likely going to somehow be worse than death. I can't even imagine what that could be. It's all over. The end of the Germany arc. The following pages were created using documents collected by reporter Angie Stedman, with images created by an impressionist or Private Greg Heffley's drawing style. Sunday. My name is Rowley Jefferson, and I'm in big trouble. I got shot by a woman in her 60s, and my best friend in the army, Greg Heffley, was taken by her to who knows where. I don't know what that says. I really wanted to save him, but I knew they'd just captured me too. The old lady, who I'm pretty sure is Greg's grandma, went with him. So I was all alone in their house. I was able to get up and find some bandages to wrap on my wound. Did I mention that I'm a medic? The wound still hurt a lot, so I looked around for the house for anything that could double as painkillers. I found some in the room of someone called Gary. The painkillers were actually heroin. Only took a small dose so I wouldn't get addicted. Without Greg or anyone else on my side, it was a lot harder to cover my bases, and someone ended up finding me. My stash, no! That guy turned out to be Gary, and the only reason why I didn't run was because he was speaking English. Wait a minute, are you American, sir? Sure am. The reason why I'm here is a pretty long story. Want to hear it? Okay. Mr. Gary then told me his whole backstory. A while back, my grandma Gammy and my aunt-in-law Meemaw invited the whole Heffley family to Germany for something. I forgot what it was all about. but Meemaw set me up with a hot German chick, so it all worked out. Ever since the leader got elected in 1933, this country has been leading towards perfection. Yeah, bless America, am I right? I even stayed back in Germany so I can marry her. Everything was going great until she found out how I was scrounging up money for the event. True lover? Sorry. She reported me to the Gestapo, but Gabby got him to believe that my gig was just a mistake. I've been staying here ever since. What's your deal? So basically, I was going to tell Mr. Gary everything that's happened so far, but I passed out. Next thing I remember is waking up in a dimly lit room next to him. Are you two Americans in Germany? Are you selling secrets to the Nazis? I don't understand. Who are you? Doesn't matter, we're just some really concerned allies. If you're really our allies, then help us. My friend Greg Heffley was taken by the Nazis. That surprisingly caused our interrogators to stop for a minute. After a while, someone came into the room. Did you really know Private Greg Heffley? Yeah, he's my best friend. Very well then. My name's Corporal Roger Heffley, and together we're gonna save Greg. And that's the story of how I ended up joining the Loaded Diver Platoon. TP continued in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the final solution.